Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Alessandro, I see you are baking just as I am on your side of the world.
I am.
So I think today's subject is even more apt because of the heat. But so how's your day going on your side of the world, Alessandro?
Good. I can't see your video, Mac. I can hear you. Just check if the video is on.
Let me see.
The camera.
Are we having technical issues?
I mean, I can see mine. But look, maybe.
Give me a second. I'll tell you now. I think we are good. I can see your video. I can see my video.
Oh, you can. Okay. I can't see yours, but it doesn't matter. You're coming because this is about sleep. Oh, there you are.
I haven't moved.
The darkness.
I came out of the darkness. Hey, well, there was light. So hello, everybody, and welcome to another one of these incredible little mini-series with Alessandro Ferullo, who is a student for the last 35 years in the practice of Qigong, and he is... he shares it like he learned it yesterday, but it's incredible, and you'll learn from just listening to his voice that he's well practiced. He knows what he's talking about, and the strange thing is, guess what? The stuff he talks about actually works. It's not just as they would say woo-woo in some worlds. It's really it's thousands of years worth of history that has been researched to prove that all these concepts work. So Alessandro, talk to us about this week, heat in London. I looked at the weather last night. It's heat everywhere, and people struggle with sleep a lot of the time anyway, due to things like anxiety and stress and deadlines and all kinds of things. What they're going to have for breakfast stresses some people out. Other people, it's much bigger things. Everybody in their own has their own battles. But now with this heat as well across the globe, like 30 degrees plus Celsius, can what we're gonna talk about today help them during these times as well?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's hard to make claims that suddenly you'll feel a lot cooler at night. But I think you mentioned things like anxiety and worry and those things. I mean, one of the keys to good sleep is to put the mind into a deeper state, and we'll do a practice session later on to kind of settle the mind, settle the breathing as well. When we're in that deeper state, no matter what the temperature, it helps us to switch off and relax, and sleep takes over. Sleep is needed, and I think it's very underrated. I mean, I remember hearing people saying to me things like, I don't do sleep, I don't need sleep, I need 4 hours sleep. I mean, there's a lot of science behind this. So it's not necessarily a Qigong thing. And there's a book I'd like to recommend, bestseller, called Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, and people can look that up. And, he talks about scientifically, what happens during sleep, what happens when we aren't sleeping enough, our performance, our longevity, illness, all those things scientifically can be related to the quality of sleep and also the quantity. So the two are important. No point sleeping 11 hours if we go to sleep at 2 a.m. and wake up at midday, because the body, and we'll go into this as well, has a clock during sleep, and the different internal organs are more or less active at different 2-hour segments. So just as an example, liver is 1 to 3 a.m. So people who tend to have issues around, liver is the detox organ. Also, it relates to the emotions of anger, depression. People who tend to wake up or have trouble around that time might indicate an imbalance in the liver. So then, it tells us, certainly from Chinese medicine, from Qigong, that actually if we treat the liver, that'll help that person to sleep better. Whereas in the West, the doctor might give a sleeping tablet, which doesn't relate in any way to what that person's going through relating to the liver. So it's a big area, and I'd say we're just going to have a short chat today. I've put a link to a PDF which is free, with 4 different videos on sleep and how we can sort of improve it, prepare for it, wake up in the mornings efficiently. So yeah, there's a lot to be said, and we can't get that much in this short session. But if anyone has questions, put them in the chat, and we're happy to answer them during the call.
Absolutely. I don't know if you saw my little flash on screen over there from Vitalis, but here it comes again. It says, Alessandro, you look like T.P.O.Q Chopra there.
I love Deepak Chopra. He's my hero. So that's a great compliment. he might say that because of my long hair, because I haven't been to the hairdresser for a while. And Deepak at the moment has very long hair.
So, hey, there we go. I'll tell you what. And who knows, maybe one of these days you'll be doing a live with Deepak Chopra yourself.
Yeah.
And then people will have to sit there and try and figure out which one's which. But so I just wanted to go back, because you've mentioned quite a few things there, and thank you for what being willing to put the resource into the chat so that people can download that. But you mentioned as an example, how doctors will prescribe a sleeping tablet, and that's treating the cause. The symptom, not the cause. And that's pretty common in Western medicine. And ultimately, we can go down the rabbit hole or open the can of worms with regards to big pharma, but let's not go there. But when you talk about sleep as an example, so what you're saying is it could be counterproductive if you're treating, as an example, you have liver function issues, and you're trying to treat those with various medications, drinking much more water, all the rest of it, but then you don't have a proper sleeping pattern, so you don't give your liver a chance to recuperate and restore. Is that right?
Yeah, it is partly. Look, if it's helping the person to sleep, then that means the liver is having time to repair and recover. Because actually, if we're awake at that time, then that function is impaired. But what's happening is when we are asleep, the body is rebalancing, repairing, rejuvenating. The brain is flushing out toxins. There's a lot happening. So anything that will help us sleep, but sometimes things help us be unconscious rather than in a deep restful sleep. For example, alcohol, which is quite a common thing that, when people, drink a lot, they sleep very deeply, but they feel knackered when they wake up, and heavy head. Actually, it's not a restful deep sleep. The body's dehydrated. Just because they're unconscious, that doesn't necessarily mean they slept well. So what does it mean to sleep well? I think it's that the mind is rest and at ease, that we go early enough. We can talk in a minute about timings on that we wake up almost naturally in the morning, not suddenly by the phone or the alarm clock, because we've had enough sleep. Like the body often knows or feels when we've got enough sleep, but we tend to cut it out at night, so we go a bit late and have to wake up suddenly early, and actually the whole pattern is disrupted. So I would say we can talk initially about preparation for sleep. What can we do to prepare? We can do practice to take us into a deeper state, ready for sleep. And morning, I want to talk about how we wake up, because even if we have a good sleep and we wake up and look at our phone and emails and read the news in our bed, the day has us, the day controls us. We are no longer in control, regardless of the sleep. So ideally in the morning, how to gather ourselves, be prepared for when we do look at those emails and the phone, because I think 86% of people look at their phone first thing, and I would highly recommend they don't.
So, it doesn't take much to be ahead of the crowd by, just changing little things. But it's interesting. I love what you just said there about the day has you or you have the day. Because so many of us are literally, all we're doing is reacting from moment to moment, as opposed to being in charge and taking control of the day. And, for so many of us, just that little switch could totally change how your days go, how your months go, how your business performs, how your relationships go. Because I'm just thinking of, when we think of the word reactive, which is what we tend to be, because we react in the morning to the alarm clock. So we start off being reactive. We grab our phones, we reacting to messages, to emails, and then we're either just on time or running late, or there's something happening. The day, as you say, has us, which means when it comes to relationships and how we respond to people, instead of being proactive, we are reactive, which means that impacts our personal relationships, our work relationships, everything else. And it's actually quite a snowball effect. And it all starts with sleep, which is quite fascinating.
You're right. I think it impacts everything, even the food, we eat. We might eat healthy food, but if we're in an anxious state, we're not going to digest the food, efficiently, absorb it well. I know people who eat very healthily, who are really careful what they do, but they're not very healthy. The mind is part of it, the emotions are part of it, and something like Qigong, because it works on the whole system, can really help us to be more aware, self-aware, if you like. And I think in the morning, it's just to be, have our energy gathered and be ready to have the best day, ever. Just every day waking up with that kind of expectation, rather than, oh, it's another day like yesterday, and we're in that kind of treadmill, which a lot of people,
the Groundhog Day. Yeah
and that's why they don't often even like to go to sleep, because they'd rather look at YouTube or something, because what's the point? I'll go to sleep, I'll be really tired when I go to sleep, and then they're tired when they wake up, and the coffees and the this and that, and then it's a lot of people, including, I used to be in that myself when I was in corporate, a very stressful life. And I know my sleep was never good, so I learned, I learned the value of it. And, but we can start on preparing for sleep, if you like.
Well, just before that, I have one more question, which I think is, will help people before we prepare for sleep. Because one of the things that I've noticed as an example, when it comes to sleeping, like, some people will sleep for 5 hours and it will be as valuable as somebody who slept for 8 hours. And then you'll have other people who have slept for 2 hours and it's the same thing. And I've noticed, a lot of the smart watches, as an example now, will say, like, set the alarm clock, but would you like to, use the smart wake, so that it's looking at your circadian rhythm and it's looking at your different depths of sleep, so that it wakes you at the right time. Because it's amazing when we hit that snooze button, even though we've naturally potentially woken up at, say, 5, 6, 7 a.m., whatever your time is. But if you hit the snooze button, you'll be more exhausted in that extra half an hour that you got, or the extra 15 minutes, than you would have been had you just gotten up. So talk to us about that. Like, why can 50 minutes or half an hour make a difference?
That's a very good point. I mean, I think from what I understand, that the sleep, the cycles are approximately like 90 minutes, so an hour and a half. So just for example, if we go to sleep at midnight and wake up at 6, we might feel quite alert. If we woke up at 6:30, we'll be much more tired, even though we've had more sleep, because it's in the middle of that cycle. So say it's midnight to 6, or midnight, then it needs to be 7:30 or 11 a.m. and 6:30. So it's that cycle, and that snooze button is, as you say, we press it, and then 20 minutes later we wake up, we think, God, why I was all right earlier. So actually we're right in the middle of a cycle. And I think, when you mentioned like 5 hours, I mean, I thought that as well. I know people who wake up at 5 a.m. every day, but they never say what time they go to sleep. They, and I bet you they do go to sleep earlier. So 5 hours sleep is, according to Matthew Walker, science is never enough for anyone, even though they have 5 good hours of sleep. Science says it is not enough for the body to fully repair, recover. So those people who wake up really early, I bet you they do go to bed earlier as well.
So many of them do, and it's interesting because one of the things I found in corporate is there's always something to do work-wise. And sometimes you kind of forego the sleep to try and do more work at night, as an example. But your productivity is, it takes, as an example, some tasks will take me 2-3 hours because I'm exhausted. It'll take me 2-3 hours. But if I just got my 8-hour sleep, wake up in the morning, it would have taken me 15-20 minutes to do the same task. So, it's just looking at how we balance that as well, and making sure that and I really wanted to get that point out with the 90-minute cycle, so that people understand why that snooze button can really be the villain of your day as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing, because we'll come to that, is if we use our mobile phone as an alarm clock anyway, that's not the best thing. That it's generally connected to Wi-Fi. Even if the phone is checking our sleep cycle, it's not the best thing. Ideally, it's best to have, I would say, an alarm clock, or definitely have the phone on airplane mode. But every time we check the phone, and that white light that comes from the phone, I think I read somewhere it takes something like 17 minutes for the mind to switch off again. So if we're just checking the time and think I'm going to sleep again now, it can take quite a while to get back. And you do that 5 times a night, what happens? We get tense, we can't sleep again, just because that light is keeping the brain alert.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like taking a flashlight, shining it in your eyes, and then expecting to go straight to sleep afterwards. But ultimately, in the brain, that light is still there, and it's just fading over time. But every time you do that, you reignite some of the patterns in the brain. Now, Vitalis asks a question: what about napping? Before we go into a little exercise.
Yeah, so napping is not a bad thing. I think if the body is tired, telling us it's tired, and I know these days there's a lot of exhaustion around, especially with the whole the COVID situation, and I've heard of people weeks of exhaustion. We need to follow what the body tells us. We can't keep pushing it. So I think napping is not a bad thing, but what I would say is not too long a nap, because sometimes, again, even with a nap, if it's say 2 hours in the middle of the day, then might have trouble sleeping at night. I'd say sometimes we've heard that word power nap, half an hour or so, 20 minutes, half an hour, have a restful nap, or do some breathing and lie down, but not completely out in a deep sleep, because that makes the body sluggish. I'm Italian. In Italy, my mum napped all her life, after lunch. In Spain, they do. So it's quite a well-known thing. But then they go to bed later at night. They have a different rhythm. I'd say over here, if you are going to nap, keep it, if you can, as a power nap.
Excellent stuff. So without further ado, because I'm sure people are watching going, oh, Alessandro was going to start something, Mac interrupted. Alessandro was going to start something, Mac interrupted. Then he has a question. Has he forgotten about it?
No, because it's such a big issue. I think people can do their own research into the book. They can look at the PDFs. They can do the practice. I think just for now, I'd like to mention 3 main things. One is preparing for sleep, using this energy practice, what to do when we wake up in the middle of the night, and how to wake up in the morning so the day doesn't own us. We own the day. So maybe those 3 things. So I'd say preparing. Sorry, Matt, you were saying?
No, I said that's awesome. Before, during, and after.
Yeah. So preparing, I would just say an hour before sleep, all electronics off. And many people have a TV in their bedroom. They have the little standby button on. It's got to be off. Even a standby button affects our sleep. So either you cover it or turn it off at the mains, because actually you're wasting electricity anyway. So ideally, no TV in the bedroom. Bedroom should be a sleep room, ideally. So no electronics, not checking the phone and the news before going to sleep. Just an hour before, ideally, switch it all off, and then do whatever you need to do to prepare. Might be read, might be have a warm shower, might be do some journaling, but do something that does not involve electronics, because they keep us alert. So once we get into bed, we're too alert to go to sleep, actually. And we're thinking, I wonder why. So then we get tense and start thinking about issues. And then waking in the morning, in a minute we'll come to the practice, but waking in the morning, same idea, not to get out of bed until, so we wake up, but gather ourselves together, gather our thoughts together, gather the breath together, which we're going to do in a minute. So we feel centered, be grateful, just have some gratitude mentally for the things we often take for granted. You know, when we're grateful, it's just it raises our vibration, and actually we wake up in a healthier, better state. And even if it's a simple gratitude, I met a woman once, she said, when she gets out of bed, she puts one foot down and says, thank the other foot, you. And if she forgets to do it, she gets back into bed and does it again. Thank you. It's like, just even thank you to the universe, because we woke up and we're breathing. This is a miracle. You know, millions of people didn't wake up today breathing. So we're alive for another day. So gathering ourselves and gratitude, and maybe some practice with breathing or journaling. Yeah. Nadej says, where is the PDF? I put it in the chat, actually, at the top of the chat. So I don't know. Have you seen it, Mac? Is the PDF?
I haven't had a look, but I did say we'll share it at the end of the session again, back in the comments, so that people can see it. Because
in the comments or at the end. So then now we come to the real juicy bit, but obviously it's the middle of the day. We don't want to go to sleep now. So we'll just look at some practices to actually settle the mind, settle the energy, settle the breathing, feel grounded. Because when we go into sleep in that state, we go into a deep sleep more quickly. And that's a key to getting to sleep. Ideally, I would say before midnight. You know, sometimes people go, midnight, 1 a.m. You're already missing out on, a lot of the internal organs which are repairing, recovering. So I'd say the ideal time is probably something like 11 and then till 6 or 7 or something like that, ideally. So even if people go to bed at 2 till 9, it's going to be much less beneficial for our health, even though we've had 7 hours sleep. So I think the importance is that kind of circadian rhythm, that clock.
I was just going to mention that now, for people to go and have a look at what that is all about, because as you mentioned, it impacts every single different organ as you go around the circadian rhythm as well.
Exactly. So here we are. I think we'll do a little bit of practice. I mean, you can stay sitting, it's up to you. But if people are watching this on replay and watching it at night, then they can just do this before going to sleep. So we'll just do something very simple. And the body often is holding quite a lot of stress from the daytime. And we can feel it in the body. If we really just stand still, we might notice the shoulder is stiff or lower back. So one idea is just shake it down to earth, grounding. The grounding part is an important part of settling our energy. The earth, we sometimes mention, is always receptive to take any dis-ease, any tension. So just drop it off, drop it down. Often it's the shoulders. And this is also beginning to take the mind to the body, embodying the energy. Sometimes the mind thinks it's running the show. It isn't, actually. We are in control of the mind. The Chinese call it the monkey mind. We're in control of it. It's not in control of us. So we're training the mind to sense the body, any tension anywhere. Often it is at the hands. We've been using on a computer a lot. The feet, the legs, shake off, down to earth. Just stand for a moment and breathing out from the mouth, in from the nose, in through the nose. And that's taking out a lot of the stuck energy, stuffy energy in the body, breathing fresh air in. So we're refreshing the breath, clearing out tension, any holding. So generally that's a good way to start the breathing. And then later we go into a deeper breathing. Then just moving the energy down towards the earth. This is very simple Qigong practice. Opening up the body and moving the energy from the head through the body down to the feet, down to the earth. So we're reorganizing, in a way, the energy system. Often the mind is too active, too much going on there. So here we're clearing from the back of the head through the body down to earth. Reorganizing the energy. The heavy element should go down to earth. Do once more. And then one of my favorites is gathering the energy that's depleted. Sometimes when we go to sleep or before going to sleep, we're thinking about things. Emotionally, we're thinking about other people. So this way we can just allow the arm to go out, it doesn't matter which side, and come back to the center. The other arm going out, back to the center, as if we're gathering any energy back that's been a bit depleted or exhausted. So we're gathering ourselves fully, energetically, emotionally, resting the mind, gathering to the center. And just have this idea, wherever we think energy might have gone, we're calling it back, literally. And then our real center is just below the belly button. We call the dantian. So women put the right hand below the belly button, left hand on top, close the fingers. And men put left hand inside, right hand on top. And just get the breathing deeper now. We're just going to breathe in and out through the nose. When you breathe in, feel this area expanding a little bit. So we're gathering the energy to our main energy center, which is here in Qigong, in yoga, in all the spiritual practices. This is our main energy center. Breathing in, feel this area expanding. Breathing out, contracting. If we can't feel it easily, you can gently press down, breathe out. Empty the breath here through the nose. Breathe in through the nose. Feel it expanding. So we're activating the breath deeper to the center of the body. Just close the eyes a few moments. Feel this area gently moving. Feel the feet into the earth. At this point, we could be sitting even on the edge of the bed, on a chair. We're beginning to settle. Ground the energy down to the earth. The breathing helps to settle the emotions, helps to switch the mind off as it's taken down to the breath. Breath is a magical solution to so many issues. When we just breathe deeply and stay with it, the whole body benefits. Expanding, contracting. Just follow it with the hands. No need to force it. And the nose, just breathing in and out, following this gentle movement down in the lower abdomen. And sometimes it's quite hard to come out quickly. We may just get sleepy doing this. So then we're ready. We can just gradually press down gently. Means we're settling the energy internally. The mind is already a bit rested. And the heavy element is down to the earth. Head is clearer, which is the pure element, the heavenly element, the yang element, and the body more reorganized. Gently pressing down, gradually the hands can come off. So the system is in a deeper state, the mind a bit more rested, the emotions definitely calm down. We've gathered the energy back. And if we just lie down, we can just have the hands here, continue breathing here deeply. This will benefit the whole body. Just want to talk about some positions in bed, because ideally the heart is on the left side. We don't want to sleep on the left side because it puts pressure on the heart. So either we sleep on the back is a good way, and you can have the hands here with the breath, or sleep on the right side, on our right side. Doesn't put any pressure on the heart. So if we sleep on our sides, ideally on the right, And quite a good way to actually go to sleep on the right side is to close the hands and just rest them on the shoulders, almost like a protection, and often, children sleep in these kind of closed positions. So if you are going to feel that you want to feel protected or gathered together fully, close the fingers, gathers the energy, hold the shoulders, and sleeping on the right. And then you can open up after that. But initially, that's quite a nice, easy position to feel kind of protected and gathered together.
So I'm going to have to change the whole way I sleep, Alessandro, because I've been sleeping on the left for so many years. And I've had heart issues, which is quite funny.
Try it out. I'd say anybody, if we're used to it, even myself, I'm so used to sleeping on my front. And that's just, I feel I'm really protected that way. But I've started sleeping on my right, and it feels so comfortable. When I go on my left, I just feel something a bit stuck. I can just sense the difference. So I'd say try it out, and ideally on the back, because then all the internal organs a bit more open. And I'd say, if we wake up in the middle of the night, I think I've shown this one before. You, Mac, is that. Yep. If we breathe, just breathe normally now. I'll just show us this simple breathing technique. So just sense how deep we can breathe now. And to breathe much more deeply, the thumb goes up the inside of the index finger, each side, catch the nail, and then just rest the hands wherever. It's a more thorough breath through the whole body with this simple technique. So let's do it one more time. Just breathe normally. See how deep we can breathe. Let's put the thumb up the inside of the index finger. Catch the nail gently each side. And actually, we can end up just doing the right hand is more important. Let the left go. Whole body goes into a deeper state. So that's quite good if we wake up in the middle of the night or we're a bit disturbed. Go into deeper breathing, or catch the shoulders gently, go on your right, gather yourself back, or put the hands over the lower abdomen, the dantian. But the whole idea is take the mind somewhere else. The mind often is can be a bit in the way of our deep sleep. So if we can rest the mind, the mind appreciates it. It does need to detox at night. The brain does detox. It flushes out toxins. We know that scientifically. So resting the mind is a key. Breathing is a key. And gathering ourselves fully back. So that's before going to sleep. And I'd say waking up in the morning, before you jump out of bed, in fact, don't jump out of bed, just stay in bed for a while, put the hands here, bring the breath here. You can open the eyes, just look around, and then just feel some gratitude for, whatever you're grateful for today. I bet most of us watching even have more than most people in the world have, even if we just have a phone and a home and a job and a TV, so we're all very, fortunate. So just, gratitude for those things. So we gathered ourselves together, some breathing, then we can gently get out of bed. And then I would say do either some journaling, if we do some Qigong, stretching, or yoga, meditation. And then I'd say check the phone or email, because the minute we do, as I said, the day owns us. So if we're gathered and we're in good shape, we own the day. And wouldn't that be nice to wake up in a different state? So I would recommend, if people say I haven't got time to do it, just wake up 15 minutes earlier. That's all. It just needs, it's a choice. It's a choice and an effort to do that.
Yeah, it's sure. So many little things that you've covered today that people can go and put into practice that could literally make a difference within a couple of days, if not, almost immediately. I know the exercise with the breathing deeper, because I've, on a regular basis, I would wake up in the middle of the night because I'd hear a noise or whatever the case. And then I sit there and I'm like an hour before I fall asleep again. But since I've been doing this little exercise, because I'm not focused on, I'm not focused on what's happening the next day. I'm not focused at, all the other things around me. I'm literally just focused on my breathing. And it's almost like as you say, empty the mind. I'm able to fall asleep so much quicker. And it's such a simple thing, but it's made such a big difference. And I noticed we had a few statements there. We had Najiba saying, true, we must be positive when we get up in the morning, which is, so true. And then Anita has put, I do all this and I must agree it makes all the difference for good state. And, state management is such a big thing. And this is a great way to be able to start that off. So Anita, thank you for sharing, and Najiba as well.
Anita's a coach. Any coaches, what do you do? What's your morning routine? Because I think we all have different morning routines and some work better than others. So it's good to hear some ideas. Some people swear by journaling, some people swear by affirmations, some people swear by meditation, mindfulness, gratitude. And, it's a mix of things, but it's to do something to raise our vibration first thing in the morning, I would say.
Absolutely. Good point there, Alessandro. If you've got a morning routine that works for you, please do share it in the comments. We'd love to hear how people start their day, and what variations we have. Alessandro, I see you've taken your glasses off. Are you going into another exercise here? I was just wondering, just in case.
But I was just testing the breathing. I was just breathing down here, thinking, let me just see. And the breath is miraculous. So at any moment we can use that. If we are awake at night, just get to the breath. The breath overrides the mind and the brain. So it's like a mini battle. But we are being breathed, I've mentioned before, by the universe. We're being kept alive. That's a miracle. So let's develop and use that sort of miraculous idea that we are being kept alive and breathed. And what are we going to do with this life? Let's get to it. Let's actually, nourish ourselves by firstly, sleeping enough, sleeping well, and see what happens in the day. See how, we maybe need less sugar or coffee or things to keep our energy going. I mean, nowadays you look at people, they're almost attached to a cup of coffee every morning, aren't they? When you look at people, I never used to see that. Now, everybody's gripping.
It depends on your brand. Yeah, absolutely. And the ironic thing is, a cup of coffee in itself, can be bad enough. But if we look at, and I love my I won't mention any specific names because we don't have any sponsorship here, but some of the big brand names in the coffee retailers, when you look what actually goes into that coffee, the amount of sugar and then the coffee and everything else, it may taste great, but ultimately it's knocking us and depleting us further later in the day when we don't realize it. So it has that knock-on effect. And
look, one's okay, one or two, but when we're having 5 or 6 to keep going, then
is that not normal?
No, well, well, it may be, but it shouldn't be. No, I'd say not. And especially, again, not mentioning brands, but when you get these big, half a liter of coffee with milk, the dairy's clogging us up as well. It's not the coffee itself, like a pure, like espresso, like in Italy, I'm Italian, they go in for an espresso, it's gone. It's like a shot of energy, and that's it. There's no big deal. It's not like a liter of it.
Yeah, you're not making every single organ work for its survival.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the big challenges, especially in corporate, when people are having meetings or they're having lunch meetings or face-to-face meetings. It just becomes the kind of acceptable thing to, and before you know it, if you've had 4 or 5 meetings in the day, you've had 4 or 5 of these big teas or coffees or Americanos or whatever it is that people have, filled with I don't know how much sugar and everything else. And
even tea is just as bad because it does have, it has caffeine. Tea can be actually. So I mean, except obviously we won't go into the different teas today, but for sure. The Chinese teas, those teas are much lighter, but and also some of them don't have any caffeine in.
Absolutely. Well, Alessandro, I'm just conscious of time, and just I can't believe we're already 40 minutes has flown by. So thank you massively for sharing these little tips, which I know for myself have already made an impact. So I challenge every single one of you, if you're watching this or you thinking maybe I need to look at my sleep, or you haven't tried some of these little basic things, go and test them, go and try them, come back and comment in the comments. If you don't know this, you can also save, if you're on LinkedIn, as an example, if you click the three little dots at the top of this event, there's an option to actually save the event into your saved items that you can go and view on your profile. If you're on YouTube, you can always come back to this, and on Facebook as well. So I urge you to go and try one or two of these things and see what impact and difference it makes for you. And a culmination of the whole lot, and you can become a superpower out there. And just imagine being able to function, as per the previous session, with clarity and knowing that you've got that energy and you're in charge of your day. I mean, in fact, I want to ask that question to those of you that are watching now, or if you're watching the replay, what impact would it make in your life waking up in charge of your day rather than your day being in charge of you? So Alessandro, massive thank you. As always, where can people get hold of you? What's happening in your world right now that you want to share, so that people can dive a little bit deeper into this as well?
Yeah, I mean, flowinghealth.co.uk is the website, and there's a Qigong retreat in Sardinia I'm really excited about in September, 29th of September. People can look that up on LinkedIn or on the bio or in the website. Only 15 places available. So we're going to go really deep into the self-healing form, into connecting with our life purpose, into taking our health and energy to the next level, and working on how can we live a longer and healthier life, or how can we prevent illness in the first place. So Qigong, as we said, Mac, 4,000-year-old practice, a study of nature, humans, animals. We're just going to go deep into even the 5 animals I'll be bringing in for the practice. So yeah, and I work one-to-one with groups, corporate. So I love just sharing this, and I really appreciate you bringing this mini-series to the world.
Well, Alessandro, it's been all your years of experience that you've shared with us, and I know there's so much more to it. So, I urge anybody who wants to invest in their own health, their own mindset, their mental health, to reach out, especially big corporates that have big teams or teams under a lot of pressure, where you can bring Alessandro in to literally just calm the mind and get the guys back into the flow and be in control again. If you want to reach out, Alessandro is on LinkedIn. He's become extremely active. He's a legend on there. He's got great content. Please go and follow him. Again, Alessandro, thank you. And I look forward to our next episodes. And if you've got any questions for Alessandro, throw those in the comments as well, because let's see where we can
I will reply.
Answer those.
We will reply, and I'd love to hear people's own routines and tips, because we're all different. Some things suit some people more than others, but one thing for sure, sleep nourishes us, recharges us, rebalances us. Nobody can argue that they don't need it, and if they do, good luck to them. But I'd say your average person, they need it, and you can look it up scientifically, read that book I'm still in the middle of. It's amazing. The science behind it is just fascinating. Yeah.
So, I mean, you've clearly showed that there's sleep, and then there's quality sleep. Rather get quality sleep than lots of sleep that ultimately is just going to leave you exhausted. So thank you so much, Alessandro. Everybody that's been watching, thank you for your time. Please go and share this with people that you feel might be able to benefit from this. tag people that you feel would benefit from the future episodes that we're doing, and reach out and connect with Alessandro. And he doesn't bite. He's incredible human, and he's got a lot of value to share. So please do reach out to him. Other than that, I want to thank you very much for today, and that will be the end of our series for today, and we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, keep cool, everyone.
Yeah, keep cool. Excellent stuff. Thank you very much. There we go.